No bounty hunting. We're just playing good, hard football.
Terrell Owens and the Dallas Cowboys are here in Philadelphia.
Orton starts. Oh, and it's intercepted at the 40-yard line by Brandon Boykin.
The foundations were very much the opposite of what this rivalry has turned into over the years, with the Eagles having won the NFL championship the same year the Cowboys entered the league. The first game between the two, however, featured the expansion franchise challenging the soon-to-be NFL champions and keeping the game a tight-knit 2 points in the end. Though the 60s didn't see much action in this rivalry and it had yet to be heated, with the Eagles dominating the early record between the two, until the biggest blowout of the rivalry would preface the rise coming to fruition under Tom Landry. The rise saw an 11-game winning streak for the boys in blue, while the Eagles endured only one winning season from 62 to 77. The Cowboys added an 8-game winning streak to the collection as well. The Eagles had started a new era under Dick Vermeil to provide some hope for their fans. It took a while to get things going, but a key Monday Night Football game at Texas Stadium was showing that Philly was looking to regain their mojo even amidst the Cowboys' dynastic run. The first one. They did just that, withstanding the comeback attempt, and eventually took control over the NFC East, leading into the second matchup between the two. The Eagles just needed to put away their major rivals, claim their first NFC East title since their last championship season, but couldn't quite make it happen. Either way, the Eagles made it clear that they were here to stay and ended up winning the NFC East the next season. The script scripted even harder when the two faced off in the NFC Championship game, where Wilbert Montgomery set the tone from the get-go. The Cowboys would tie it up going into halftime, but the Birds would take control for the second half and march their way to the Super Bowl, where they'd lose to the Silver and Black. The moment the Eagles started finding it under Buddy Ryan is when the Cowboys were in the midst of a rebuild after their run under Tom Landry. A rare winning streak for Philly was included, with the Birds winning 8 straight in this matchup. This rivalry had started to get juicy, with both bounty bowls being included in the first season of Jerry Jones owning the Cowboys. The first one took place during Thanksgiving, to where accusations of targeting were thrown out by the losing side. The second bounty bowl saw the NFL commissioner in attendance, and Eagle fans making their displeasure known. The Birds would pile on to America's team's horrible season once more in the midst of their 8-game winning streak over the team. The Cowboys, however, would continue their rebuild and see it come further to fruition, while the Eagles began to falter, with the triplets taking center stage in Texas. The Birds were still competitive while the boys began to rise and were still in the playoff race in '91, despite the dominance of Washington over both. Over everyone, really. The Cowboys would win a key game to dent Philly's playoff hopes and end the 8-game losing streak over their major rivals, and it would turn out that the Eagles would miss the playoffs. The year after, the two would meet in the playoffs again, to where the boys and Emmitt Smith would dominate en route to the NFC Championship game. The Cowboys would dominate the 90s, as you all know, but we got more juiciness with the Eagles' crucial goal line stop in Week 15 of '95, playing a part in the Birds making the playoffs and then setting up the rubber postseason match between the two. The Cowboys would dominate this one yet again and go on to win their 3rd Super Bowl in the decade, despite some of the skepticism surrounding the team during the season. The Cowboys would taper off after their dynastic run, and the Eagles would start a new era under Andy Reid that would shift the tides, not in terms of glory, but in terms of success, I guess. The opening week of the Birds' first winning season under Andy Reid featured lots of heat. In the heart of Texas, thanks to some pickle juice, however, the Eagles would still dominate and start a power shift in the NFC East. The Cowboys getting dominated by Donovan McNabb on nationally televised Sunday night next season would add more fuel to the shift in power. Later in the decade, Terrell Owens would spend a couple of seasons in Philly after being a staple in San Francisco, but would then leave for both teams' major rival. Predictably, this didn't sit well in Philadelphia, and in either case, Philly was still the better franchise in the 2000s, at least for the early to mid-2000s, and that was shown in T.O.'s return once more. Though, to be fair, the Eagles wouldn't be as dominant the second half of the 2000s, and both teams would be second fiddle to their other major rival, who won 2 Super Bowls in the millennium. With the inclusion of a close 2013 NFC East title race between the two, and recent seasons showing that these two are some of the best the NFC has to offer, it seems as though this rivalry is going nowhere and is easily one of the biggest in the National Football League.